Yep.
That's what some are speculating. Exactly.
What happens next? You've laid out some of what happens next.
Yeah.
But there are still some open questions about what this bank looks like going forward, how it's broken up. Are there still issues that could have to be brought in? Are there potential losses that could still be out there?
Well, you'd hope, and Jonathan Tice from Bloomberg Intelligence, you'd hope that the good bank has enough money. You'd hope that they'd give it enough capital and extra. So that's what you'd hope. The fears we were just talking about with the bad bank. But I'm going to put that aside. The Novo Banco CEO, Vitor Bento, says the move removes key uncertainties around the bank and the lender's now stronger and safer than before. But we earlier on Countdown spoke to David Costa. He's the Dean and Collegiate Professor at Robert Kennedy College in Zurich. He's still got his doubts that this draws the line in the sand when it comes to not only Portuguese banks, but banks in general within the Eurozone.
I don't think it draws a real line in the sand, but what it tells is that in this case the government has been very prompt on acting, and that's certainly a positive for the banking sector in Europe to see that now there is this quick intervention without too much disruption. But that said, it's also on the other side a bit symptomatic of seeing that the evolution of the banking sector is not over yet, and there might be some other surprises there. That's why I say it's not really yet a line in the sand. We don't know. It was a bit of a surprise to see that all those accounts didn't match at the end, and that's, I think, the concerning side is really that's why a lot of investors want to stay away from banking still, because there is so much opacity still there, which we have to be careful still.
Making a valid point. You know, a month ago, none of this had happened. A month ago, we were just approaching this surprise that was Espirito Santo, you know, the group of companies owned by the parent company. Three, of course, sought creditor protection. And from there, it spiraled out of control, sending the shares down by almost 70% last month, hitting the PSI, the benchmark stock index, hitting the number 2 and 3 lender in Portugal, Banco Comercial Portuguese and Banco PPR. What he's essentially saying, David Costa, is this came out of nowhere. We can't be assured that another Espirito Santo might not emerge.
And this is with regulators peering over the shoulder of Portugal's biggest banks. This is with the Troika peering over the shoulder of Portugal's biggest bank. And still this happens because we didn't understand fully the ownership structure. So yeah, I suspect there's going to be a lot of parliamentary hearings as a result of this to figure out exactly who knew what when and who was ultimately responsible.
And you hope with the asset quality review and the stress test taken by the ECB that eventually that will draw a line in the sand when it comes to balance sheet issues and capital issue. That's the hope this year before the ECB takes over its role as the supervisory body of Eurozone banks. But today, those other 2 lenders in Portugal are rising. The PSI 20 is rising. And it was quickly resolved. You know, it was resolved over a weekend.
We think it's quickly resolved.
Gives hope. We think it's quickly resolved. Watch out for that bad bank, though, as that... I'm sure you've tweeted that, haven't you? That's a great
I haven't actually, funnily enough, but it came from a tweet anyway, so it's out there. This is the Coppola article, sort of blog, but it's interesting talking within that. The EU, the Commission, is defining the good bank as a temporary credit institution, a bridge bank. It's not a new bank, it's a bridge bank.